Welcome back to the Blue Collar Boxing Podcast. I am Luke from Biloxi. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and give me a follow on at Blue Collar Boxing on X. Last night, David Benavidez scored a seventh round knockout over Anthony Yarde in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to retain his WBC light heavyweight championship. Immediately following that, it was announced on several social media outlets and reported by legitimate boxing media that David Benavidez will now challenge Zurdo Ramirez for his unified cruiserweight title, WBA, WBO, Cinco de Mayo weekend next year. I'm all about that fight. Good fight. Glad to see that we're making some big fights. Um, these are the best in the world. I'm very interested to see how David Benavidez finally goes up and fights someone his own size. I don't want to quite call him a weight bully, but I'm leaning towards it. Um, he's been able to cut weight effectively and fight guys that were much smaller than him, even in the light heavyweight division. Anthony Yarde was his only knockout. He had had three fights at light heavyweight. He fought uh, Alexander Gvozdyk in his debut at light heavyweight. He went 12. Gvozdyk's not necessarily someone you have to knock out. He was knocked out by Artur Beterbiev. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from Benavidez, but you give him a pass because he was settling into the weight. And Gvozdyk's, a legitimate former lineal light heavyweight champion. Nevertheless, they went 12 rounds. Then he fought David Morrell, another unanimous decision win, went 12 rounds. Again, makes you wonder, was all the power real? What, is David Benavidez the genuine article as he claims to be? Then his third fight at light heavyweight, Anthony Yarde. This was last night, knocks him out in 7 rounds. I don't know how impressed to be about that. Yard had been knocked out a couple of times before. He fought a pre-Canelo Sergey Kovalev, one fight pre-Canelo, was dropped with a jab in the 11th round and did not get up. That was probably more a function of conditioning than it was power punching, but it just makes you wonder. He also was knocked out by Artur Beterbiev, where Anthony Yarde gave a good accounting of himself. I believe it was in 8 rounds. But again, how excited can we really be about David Benavidez knocking out Anthony Yarde? This is no disrespect to Anthony Yarde. The man's got tremendous heart. Uh, he was there to fight. He was there to try to win. But it was an accumulation knockout. It was not a one punch knockout. Will that power translate to cruiserweight? That's going to be the question. It's that old adage, pick on someone your own size. Finally, David Benavidez will be picking on someone his own size in Zurdo Ramirez. Zurdo has, piecemealed a pretty decent little career at cruiserweight, winning two world titles. That's very impressive. I think Jai Opataya is internationally recognized as the linear champion and has the IBF belt. But Zurdo's a good fighter, and he comes from a similar place as Benavidez in that he was a belt holder at 168, but he just really outgrew the division and had to move up. Didn't do much at light heavyweight, then was able to win some titles at cruiserweight. It's going to be a really good fight. Zurdo is there to be hit. He doesn't move his head very much. He's a brawler. He's not a boxer. He's a puncher, puncher brawler. And I suspect that David Benavidez will be able to take advantage of that with combinations, speed, and I expect that Zurdo will probably take it pretty well, although he will lose rounds. Um, so as we get closer, it's going to be interesting to see the jump from light heavyweight to cruiser. That's quite a jump to go from a 175-pound weight limit to a 200-pound weight limit. Lots of things can happen when you're talking about jumping that much. And, let's not forget that cruiserweight used to be a limit of 190 pounds, even back in the day when I think the WBA called it the junior heavyweight division. So now we're jumping 25 pounds. There's no other weight class that does that, that has that extreme a jump, unless you're jumping from cruiser to heavy, and then you're at a 200-pound weight limit, and you're fighting guys who are 250, 260, etc. So it's going to be interesting to see how Benavidez deals with that. Does he take it as, God, I don't have to cut anymore, I can eat whatever I want? Or does he do it the right way? Does he put on an appropriate amount of muscle? Does he not gorge himself on food and come in, frankly, fat? He's had struggles with weight in the past. So he had struggles making 175. No problem with that. I understand that. He's a big kid. But does this weight jump cause him to be lax in some kind of way? I'm excited about the fight. I'm glad apparently Golden Boy signed the fight. They had such confidence that David Benavidez would beat Anthony Yarde that the fight was signed prior to fight time. And, look, you can only beat the man in front of you. I don't want to disrespect Anthony Yarde, but every time he stepped up to fight for a world championship, he's wilted. He fought Sergey Kovalev, who was on the backside of his career. He fought uh, Artur Beterbiev, who knocked him out, and now this world championship opportunity against David Benavidez, he wilted again. So I don't know what to make of the light heavyweight career of David Benavidez. It was basically a stop and have a cup of coffee. And admittedly, he didn't get the big fights. Bivol didn't want to fight him. Beterbiev didn't want to fight him. Same story at 168. Canelo didn't want to fight him. I think Canelo would have fought him if he hadn't lost the belt on the scale. Canelo was about the belts at that point. That's for another discussion. But certainly later in Canelo's run at 168, he did not want to fight David Benavidez. He's on record as even saying that. So what's going to happen at Cruiser? Let's see. Let me know what you think in the comments. Give me a follow on @BlueCollarBoxing on X, and I'll see you on the next one.